Power of motivation. 5 steps to discover the POWER of motivation. P is for passion. To motivate your team, you should know about their passion, then align them to individual and organizational goals. O is for opportunities that will aid in learning and development, thus helping in your team's career development. W is for work environment that is positive so that your team can shine. E stands for empowerment that provides higher responsibilities and autonomy, thus allowing your team to be creative and productive. R is for recognition of your team's achievements and valued behavior. POWER of motivation.
Are you up for the challenge to keep your followers motivated? Hi, good day. This is Mr. Marjovine Bilapiras, or you can call me Marge. For today, we will talk about organizational culture, its characteristics, advantages, disadvantages, and strengthening it. We will have a thinking design that will engage yourself through a mini workshop. The learning objective of this particular topic is to identify the 7 characteristics of culture, appreciate the advantages and disadvantages of having a strong culture through shared discernment, and understand how to strengthen and build Filipino culture through creation of organizational roadmap. To begin, I'd like to ask you a question. Why do we need to work and strengthen our organizational culture? Again, why do we need to work and strengthen our organizational culture? This is a shared discernment. Please use the meeting chat box to write down your answers. Again, this is a shared discernment. Please use the meeting chat box to write down your answers. You are given only 20 minutes to do that. Do not forget to share your discernment. And the time is over. Thank you very much for answering this question. To begin, I would like to start with a quote being said by Mr. Brian Christofek, the president and CEO of Upshot, telling, "Being a great place to work is the difference between being a good company and a great company." Well, we should know first what is organizational culture. This includes an organization's expectations, experiences, philosophy, and values that hold it together and is expressed in its self-image, inner workings, interactions with the outside world, and future expectations. With that being said, it is very important for us to create a strong organizational culture. And with that, I'd like to know your thought about this. What characteristics should a strong organizational culture possess? Once again, what characteristics should a strong organizational culture possess? Once again, please use the meeting chat box to write down your answers. You are only given 20 seconds to do it. Share your thoughts. And wow, those are wonderful and great answers found in our chat box. Now, this time, I'd like you to know that there are several characteristics of organizational culture. Organizational culture is composed of 7 characteristics that range in priority from high to low. Every organization has a distinct value for each of these characteristics. Members of organizations make judgment on their value, on their organizational places that they're on. This time, let's examine each of these 7 characteristics. The first one is innovation, or we call it risk orientation. Companies with culture that place a high value on innovation encourages their employees to take risks and innovate in the performance of their jobs. Companies with culture that places a low value on innovation expect their employees to do their jobs the same way they have been trained without looking for ways to improve their performance. Next one is attention to detail, or we call it precision orientation. This characteristic of organizational culture dictates the degree to which employees are expected to be accurate in their work. A culture that places a high value on attention to detail expects its employees to perform their work with precision, and a culture that places a low value on this characteristic does not. Next one is emphasis on outcome, or we call it achievement orientation. Companies that focus on results but do not on how the results are achieved emphasize this value of organizational culture. A company that instructs its sales force to do whatever it takes just to get sales orders has a culture that places a high value on the emphasis on outcome characteristic. The next one is the emphasis on people. We call this fairness orientation. Companies that place a high value on this characteristic of organizational culture place a great importance on how their decisions will affect the people in their organizations. For these companies, it is very important to treat their employees with respect and dignity. The next one is teamwork, or we call that collaboration orientation. Companies that organize work activities around teams instead of individuals place a high value on this characteristic. People who work for these types of companies tend to have a positive relationship with their co-workers and managers. The next one is aggressiveness, or we call that competitive orientation. This characteristic of organizational culture dictates whether group members are expected to be assertive or easygoing when dealing with companies they compete with within the marketplace. Companies with an aggressive culture place a high value on competitiveness and outperform the competition at all costs. And the last one is stability, or we call it rule orientation. A company whose culture places a high value on stability is rule-oriented, predictable, and bureaucratic in nature. These types of companies typically provide consistent and predictable level of output and operate best in non-changing market conditions. And those are the 7 characteristics that are common in the context of organizational culture. I just want to emphasize that it is not true, or it is true that the characteristics are not the same in all times and in all spheres. Since we talked about the characteristics, let's go on to the different types of organizational culture, and we will look onto its advantages and disadvantages. According to Robert E. Quinn and Kim S. Cameron of the University of Michigan, they have investigated to these qualities, enable for them to come up with the 4 types of organizational culture. The first one is the clan culture. Its primary focus is mentorship and teamwork. The motto of this culture is, "We are all in this together." This clan is, or culture, is people focus in the sense that the company feels like a great family. This is highly collaborative work environment. Its benefits include both high rates of employee engagement and happy employees make for happy customers. Because of its highly adaptable environment, there is a great possibility for market growth within this particular type of culture. However, its drawbacks include a family style corporate culture is difficult to maintain as the company grows. Plus, with the horizontal leadership structure, day to day operations can seem cluttered and lack direction. Where can we find this culture? Well, it is no surprise that this type of culture is often seen in startups and smaller companies. The next one and type of culture is adhocracy culture. Its primary focus is risk taking and innovation. The motto of this culture is risk it to get the biscuit. Well, this type of culture is rooted in innovation and adaptability. These are the companies that are on the cutting edge of their industry. They are looking to develop the next big thing before anyone else has even started asking the right questions. Well, to do so, they need to take the risk. Its benefits include contribution to high profit margins and notoriety. Employees stay motivated with the goal of breaking the mold. Plus, with a focus on creativity and new ideas, professional development opportunities are easy to justify. However, its drawbacks include the risk. Risk is risk, so there's always a chance that a new venture won't pan out and may even hurt your business. Adhocracy culture can also foster competition between employees as the pressure to come up with new ideas mounts. Where can we find this type of culture? Well, I just want you to think of Google or Apple. They run on creative energy and doing what has not been done before. The third type of organizational culture is the market culture. Its primary focus is competition and growth. The motto of this type of culture is we are in it to win it. Market culture prioritizes profitability. A market culture stresses the importance of meeting the quotas, reaching targets, and getting the results. Its advantage includes boasting market culture that are profitable and successful. Because the entire organization is externally focused, there's a key objective employees can get behind and work toward. On the other hand, because there's a number tied to every decision, project, and position within the company, it can be difficult for employees to meaningfully engage with their work and live out their professional purpose. There is also a very high risk for burnout in this aggressive and fast paced environment. Well, where can we find this market culture? Well, for an industry leader like Bluecore, a retail marketing platform that utilizes AI technology, providing employees with clear objectives helps the team provide all-star customer service. Well, they have said that their team is clear on this goal and they are incentivized through compensation, structure, and recognition. The last type of organizational culture is hierarchy culture. Its primary focus is structure and stability. The motto of this culture is "Get it done right." Companies with hierarchy culture adhere to the traditional corporate structure. These are companies focused on internal organization by way of a clear chain of command and multiple management tiers that separate employees and leadership. Well, one of its advantages is with internal organization as a priority, hierarchy culture have clear directions. There are well-defined processes that caters to the company's main objective. However, the rigidity of hierarchy culture leaves little room for creativity, making these companies relatively slow to adapt to the changing marketplace. The company takes precedence over the individual, which doesn't necessarily encourage employees' feedback. Well, where can we find this culture? It can be found at both ends of the corporate spectrum, from old school organization to those of the customer service industry, such as fast food restaurant. So those are the different type of organizational culture. Now let us look onto the advantage and disadvantages of a strong culture as a general, or strong organizational culture as a general. Its advantage includes the differentiation of this organization or company from others. We can easily identify it from others. It allows employees to identify themselves with the organization. It also facilitates desired behavior among employees, and of course, it will create stability within the organization. However, strong culture also have some drawbacks. It includes makes merging with another organization more difficult and attracts and retains similar kinds of employees, thereby limiting diversity of thought. It can be too much for a good thing if it creates extreme behaviors among employees, and it is very hard in making adaptation to the environment, and it will really become more even difficult. Now, this time, I just want you to go back onto your workplace. Let's have a shared discernment this time. What type of organizational culture do you have in your work or workplace? Once again, what type of organizational culture do you have in your work or workplace? As a drill, you always have 20 seconds to do it. Timer starts now. And time is up. Well, your organizational culture says a lot about your work and your team and what you value. Now, evaluate your existing organizational culture and stock of what truly matters to your organization, where you are aligned, and what are your areas for improvement. That is the main goal of this discussion. Now, since we talked about strong culture, I'd like you to ask yourself, how do we strengthen an organizational culture? I can propose a four-step cycle. Well, this is a four-step cycle on which we can strengthen a particular organizational culture. Now, before exploring our four-step cycle, it is very important to call out that the culture should be strengthened, not changed at all. Now, let's begin. The first step is investigate. This is the research and discovery stage aimed at getting the heartbeat of the culture. Gather as many insights as possible to gauge or gauge the current state via focus group discussions, surveys, open door policies, interviews, management retreats, or etc. Then after doing it, you need to identify Well, equipped with the research and insights from the previous stage, now it is time to diagnose the culture and define the goals. Create a few SMART goals for the top areas where you want to strengthen the culture. After identifying it all, I'd like you to engage. As explained earlier, the roots supporting a strong culture are the agreed and acted upon shared values. Strengthening and engaging a culture can be addressed through these three general avenues. First one, value promotion. Second one, value permeation. And the third one is value performance. And the last one is evaluate. Now it's time to measure what went well, what didn't. This stage is measuring both the results and the effectiveness of the engagement tactics. You will begin to refine engagement practices, honing in on ones that are most effective for your specific business and operation. And after you evaluate, you can go back to investigate, identify, and engage until you have fully, truly adapt to the very current market. So this is only a four-step process on which you can create a strong culture or strong organizational culture. Wow, you have learned a lot. Now, I think you are much prepared for our workshop. You got it right. Let's have a workshop. It's workshop time. So, in this particular workshop, I'd like you to engage by still commenting through our meeting chat box. Are you ready? Let's begin. Let us have an activity called Culture Journey. In this activity, I'd like you to analyze the scenario that will be given on the next slide. Using all the insightful learning today, create a SNAP organizational roadmap on the problem. Do not forget to follow the four-step cycle. Investigate, identify, engage, and evaluate. Now I think you're ready. Let us begin. Here's the scenario. Your prestige university is branching out a new campus specialized on elementary education in the nearest city. As a part of their company's strategy, they would like to show this new branch or campus as a sister school with entire different branding. As a remarkable, aspiring educational leader, you are chosen to lead the program on this new campus. The university president would like to know your organizational culture roadmap for them to market and realize the plan. You are given few seconds, 30 seconds to do it. Timer starts now. And time is up. Now let's propose an educational roadmap. Now, first one is to investigate. In investigating this particular scenario, I have proposed to have the letter A in the ADDIE method. A there stands for analyze. What should we analyze? We should analyze who are the client, what is this kind of engagement, where do we put this one, and when is the exact time enable for us to put that one. And of course, do not forget that investigation should be research-based through questionnaires, surveys, and the like. So, ADDIE method, A, it's analyze. After analyzing it, let's have here the next step, identifying. Since we are talking about sector sectarian institution, it is very important for us to identify the mission and the vision of this particular institution. These core values should be reinforced by the department heads and supervisors that we will be identifying. Also, it is very essential for us to identify the staff and conduct staff meetings, identify most essential training that will help our staff, and identify positive reinforcement of their desired behaviors. Well, after identifying the mission, the vision, core values, HR, and correct staff, let us now engage. Here on the engage is that there are many proposed things and solutions that you may apply. For the core values, we need to market our core values. It is not a new thing on sectarian institution that they're always marketing their core values. In fact, they have this tagline or motto of their school that they are trying to market. So core values are displayed that can be displayed on vehicles or equipment or facilities or the like. Also, for those people who are coming inside our institution, it is very important for us to update their job description for all the position that will include their core values and customer service expectation. So, as we hire new employees, core values should be included in the selection process. And of course, in engaging, you should develop and implement core values or customer service employee recognition program. Through recognition, through these awards, surely they will also engage themselves into these mission, vision, and core values. And after all of those brilliant tasks that you have done, it is very important for us to evaluate. For the evaluation, we should develop metrics to measure effectiveness of our customer service initiative. It should include question that is related to core values on teachers and student surveys. It should conduct employee organizational culture survey and implement process for feedback at point of contact with the employee. Now, this time, I'm very much excited to know your different answers. Let us discuss it over our discussion time. And for now, that ends my presentation. Thank you very much for listening and have a great day.